Hey everybody, this is Perch, and a couple pieces of news to kind of go over. And I want to ask you some questions. I mean, I'll tell you what's happening, but I'm curious to see if you care about what's happening or if you think it's a good idea. So, first off, and this is a smaller bit of news, the bigger story, and probably what you clicked on the headline for this video for, is coming up in a minute, but they are related. So, I promise I'm not wasting your time. Planet of the Apes is returning, and they're going to basically create new comics and collections. And when I say they, I mean Marvel. So Marvel, who back in the 70s created Planet of the Apes comics, and we're getting those again. They're bringing back both an omnibus of the 1975 series, which I know a lot of people have been looking for some time. And then next year in 2023, we're going to get new Planet of the Apes comic stories as part of their increasing line of comics that are not their core superheroes. And like many of the other comics, they've got Salvador Larroca, who's doing this promo art. And I mean, for all we know, is going to be the artist for the series, because for whatever reason, they put Salvador on these new books every time. But anyway, he did Aliens, he did some of the Star Wars stuff. So this is pretty cool. So Planet of the Apes coming back as an omnibus. Again, there were a lot of comics back in the 70s people have very, very fond memories of. Maybe it was never everybody's best franchise of all time, but there's still a lot of goodwill there. And in a world of nostalgia being money, it's not the worst idea in the world. Good idea to put this out. Disney does own Fox. So just like Alien and Predator, we are going to see potentially Disney Planet of the Apes movies if they decide to reboot that franchise. That feels like absolute going to happen on Disney Plus at some point. So that's coming, new Planet of the Apes comics and this omnibus. So that's kind of exciting. But then it leads into the other thing that's happening in October. And that's way, way back in, I want to say 2007. Marvel got their hands on Miracleman. And now here we are several years later, and we're finally going to kick off the Miracleman 40th anniversary. And so this is, they're saying that they're going to introduce him with a giant-sized anthology-style one-shot that's basically, recreating some of the Miracleman stuff. But in addition to that, it's going to feature new work from Neil Gaiman and Mark Buckingham, who took over from Alan Moore back in 1990. And there will be creators, they're listing Jason Aaron, Mike Carey, Ty Templeton, Ryan Stegman, and more. And that the Gaiman-Buckingham story is both a prelude and bridge from the work that they did now, was it 22 years ago? No, sorry, 32 years ago, to the upcoming new chapter, which is going to be new Miracleman comics or Miracleman in some kind of Marvel event. Nobody knows, but this will be Miracleman number 0 coming, I believe, if I'm reading this correctly, in October. I was wrong, actually. It says 2009 is when this got announced, not 2007. I was off by a couple of years. But anyway, they're saying there will be a full celebration of the cult classic hero. Alan Davis is coming back to do a cover, and just some new work by him, which always exciting to see Alan Davis there. And that this is finally going to have Miracleman join the Marvel Universe. We got a hint of Miracleman recently in Marvel as something that is in theory coming, and now we're getting Miracleman fully. But here comes the big question, and this is this might be a funny one. But first of all, let's assume for the moment you listening to this knows who Miracleman is. You read the Alan Moore comics, you read the Neil Gaiman comics, and you like Miracleman. So you have fondness for him. When they announced this at the convention, and I was at the convention and the panel, actually, when I wasn't on the panel, I was in the audience, obviously. When they announced this, the response in the room was, yeah, there's some interest, but it seemed clear that the people at Marvel, in this case Joe Quesada, was a lot more excited about this development than the actual crowd of comic buyers and customers who were standing there. And people were okay. I mean, it was like, oh, okay, I know Miracleman. I mean, all right. And I remember saying to the person who was next to me at the time, if they had announced that Marvel bought Zot, the 80s book Zot, I'll bet people would have been more excited in this crowd. And so my comment was, I think Miracleman certainly beloved in comics. A comparison of Miracleman to Zod is a really ridiculous one, Alan Moore to Scott McCloud. But my point was that I think Miracleman for quite a while in comics was a book that you had to be a real insider. It was not as mainstream as it felt like people in comics thought it was. And I think this got proved out over the years as Marvel would tease doing something with Miracleman. They would be underwhelmed by the response in the orders and the sales, and Marvel was confused. And I've talked to several people in the company who've said we don't quite understand why there's not a bigger reaction to this. Did the marketing get botched? Everything else. And I think it's one of those cases where people, if you're a Miracleman fan, you love it, and a lot of the people who are really into that series absolutely adore it and find it one of the best things that's ever been made. But there's not a massive amount of those people. Now that's not saying they shouldn't do anything. It's just it feels like there's a little bit of a perception gap there. And then on top of that, the people who are big Miracleman fans, are they excited about Miracleman being part of the Marvel Universe? Now, for what it's worth, Miracleman originally called Marvel Man, and there's a lot of speculation that was part of the reason why Marvel went after it. I don't know. I mean, did they really? And if they're if they do revert to calling him Marvel Man, how many years before Marvel, has Carol Danvers kill him off and take his identity? I'm just kidding. I'm somewhat. My point is, if you are a big Miracleman fan and you love those comics, how excited are you exactly about the character coming into the Marvel Universe? It feels to me like the Venn diagram, or the amount of people who would be very excited by Miracleman coming into Marvel and being part of that property, and those people who are fans of the original work. I'm guessing there's not a huge overlap there. And particularly, I mean, if you were a fan of Miracleman back in the day with Alan Moore in the 1982 work, I'm guessing you kind of dislike Marvel. I'm guessing you at least dislike Marvel today, the Marvel of now. Maybe you like the Marvel back in the 80s or the 70s, but I'm guessing there's not a lot of love for now. So the trick then becomes, how does Marvel get fans to care? Now, I know that, put Neil Gaiman on something, he's a bigger name, that's going to help. Jason Aaron, current Avengers writer, Mike Carey, Ty Templeton, Stegman. Of course, people like Stegman from some of his recent work at Marvel, but how much is this really going to work? And some of the Miracleman stuff, especially the stuff that Alan Moore did, was I would say not terribly friendly to the Marvel Universe. It was a lot more obscure, a lot more indie, and a lot more, I don't know if you use the word dark, but a lot more odd than what Marvel normally plays with. So how well does this mesh? And are they going to have to change big parts of him? Like, Marvel got Angela, if you remember, from the Age of Ultron series. That's where they debuted that Angela was coming in after Gaiman sold off Angela from the work in Todd McFarlane's Spawn. Where's Angela now? Has there been any real impact of Angela in the Marvel Universe? I know she was on Guardians of the Galaxy. She would show up in Thor. They made her Thor's sister. But, I don't think, she's not one of their premier characters. And nobody's, shouting up and down about an Angela limited series. When Angela first came in, I think people were like, is this going to maybe, I remember, in the comic shop, people were like, is Spawn going to show up? Like, no, definitely not. But it wasn't like, nobody was really super thrilled about it, but there was still a little bit of interest. I'm not sure Miracleman has more of that. So I'm legitimately asking you. Now, you may be listening to this huge Miracleman fan, excited about him, can't wait for him to join the Avengers or wherever they're going to put him. Maybe you're like, I cannot wait to see Miracleman show up at the Hellfire Gala in 2023. That's going to be the best moment of life. Maybe that's you. If that's you, let me know. But is this a big thing? Marvel's been pushing this cart, down the road now for, 13 years. And we're finally getting there in October. So is the juice worth the squeeze? Is the payoff worth it? Is this something that you're into? I'm curious to hear what you have to say. So please let me know in the comments below. if you're interested in this Miracleman, what you think. If you are a fan, are you a fan of what's about to happen or not? And then how do you feel about Planet of the Apes while we're at it? Let me know that too. Anyway, like and subscribe, of course, and thanks for listening.